Hey, what's going on, guys? Kaga voiceover here. Finally back. Gotten a break from work and decided let's post again. So we're coming back out you with What If Issei Was Betrayed? Betrayed Dallin back. Fan favorite, it seems. But as always, if you do enjoy the content I'm posting out, or I'm putting out, sorry, a like, a subscribe, and maybe even a comment lets me know that you want this to continue going. We got another one coming at you tomorrow. Two maybe tomorrow, actually. We're going to start trying to post a little bit more. And stay tuned for Matsukaiga, which is posting gaming. But with all that out of the way, this is Chapter 9 Enemies Gathering and Testing Limits. Let's get straight onto the story. The Grigori was in utter chaos in the aftermath of Issei's attack. Azazel laid unconscious on the bed from the pain of Issei's kick to his groin. He had been like that for 2 days now. Samahazi and Barakil are currently watching him for signs of waking up. They start to have a conversation on what they were going to do about the new threat arising. How is he? Barakil asks. He's doing better than I expected. He should wake up soon. That Hyodo did a real number on him. Shimahazi replied. Yes, he did, Barakil muttered sadly. That's when both of them were interrupted as a magic circle appeared behind them. It was blue and had the Leviathan crest. Coming out of it was Seraphol and her sister's peerage, along with Sir Zex, who had managed to heal enough to where he could stand. He had brought Grafia and his sister's peerage. They all heard about Issei's attack on the Grigori and came over as soon as they could. They honestly expected the building to be gone and all the fallen to be vaporized. But what they saw was the opposite, which made them wonder what his plans were. How is he? Seraphol asked as she walked up to the bed to look at the leader of the fallen angels. Currently unconscious, but we suspect he'll wake up soon, Shem spoke up. I'm gonna shorten Shemehazi to Shem because I can't say the full thing. This changes things now. Issei has shown he isn't afraid to do what it takes, and we're his main targets, Sir Zex muttered while thinking. I think we need to hold another meeting between the three factions on what to do about him, Seraphol spoke up. Everyone in the room agreed on that. They needed a plan before it was too late. Brother, what can we possibly do about him? You saw how powerful he was when the Chaos Brigade attacked. Rias spoke up. Everyone was at a loss for words. They knew she was right. They all saddened as they realized they had barely any hope to defeat him. This new group that was growing every day. But that wouldn't stop them from trying. We may have a chance. If we can't take out the leader, we can take out his forces. If we all band together, we may be able to diminish his power somewhat. Seraphol spoke up. Everyone's eyes widened as they witnessed Seraphol start to take charge. Shem spoke up after that. Once Azazel wakes up, I will inform him of a meeting that needs to take place. Until then, I suggest we stay under the radar and not make any more mistakes that will anger Hyodo. Shem spoke up. Yes, that is what needs to be done, Seraphol mused. She didn't want to have a run-in with Hyodo right now. That was the last thing she needed. Seraphol, we need to hold another meeting between the elders. We need to get all of our assets accounted for. We may have a war on our hands, Sir Zex spoke up. Yes, you're absolutely right, Seraphol replied. After that, they all dispersed back to their respective duties and prepared for the inevitable. War was coming their way. Scene break. Issei with his group. Currently, everyone with Issei is in a separate dimension that Issei had made so they could spar and go all out without destroying everything around them. He learned from Bahamut, who told him that it was the same magic the devils used in raiding games. Issei wanted everyone to spar with a partner. He didn't mind who it was, as long as you had a partner to train each other with. The current lineups were Issei versus Valley, Rainier versus Kuroka, Donisik versus Byaku, or Baiku, Kalwinair versus the Fae, and Tiamat versus Arthur. To Issei, the matches were pretty good. Each one had a pretty good opponent who would push each other past their limits and make them grow stronger. I will give you a handicap. Oh, everyone now stood on the sidelines as they watched Issei and Valley start their match. I will give you a handicap. I won't use any of Bahamut's abilities against you. Unless you want to, Issei said with a smirk. No, I'll be fine. I think I can stand up somewhat. Valley replied back with her smirk. Very well, Issei replied. Everyone was in awe at how they were going all out. They stepped back for good measure as the fight was going to be intense. Valley quickly started dashing towards Issei, who was standing still. She feinted a kick and went for a right uppercut, which managed to connect. Issei was surprised at her base speed, as he was at his pace as well. How do you like that one? Valley taunted. Very good. Speed is impressive, but I think it's time to really get started, Issei replied. Valley nodded as she summoned her dividing gear. The blue wings came out quickly as she nodded. Issei grinned at seeing the vanishing dragon's sacred gear. He returned the gesture and summoned his boosted gear. Everyone knew it was really starting right now. Boost times 5. Everyone's eyes widened once again as they felt the power of Issei. It was obvious he wasn't kidding when he said he was now the most powerful being. They wondered what his plan was, since he went for straight for 5 boosts and not 1. It was obvious in their minds he was going to start to get serious about the fight. They were suddenly ripped from their thoughts as Issei vanished. They all watched around them to see where he had gone. He then reappeared right in front of Vali, who was shocked at his speed. Before she could do anything, he disappeared again, this time appearing behind her and did a sweep and knocked her off her feet. He disappeared once again, but this time they heard something above them. Boost 3. Everyone watched as he increased his power even more. They saw a small sphere of crimson energy in his palm. Dragon shot, he spoke aloud, and punched the sphere of energy. The dragon shot came hurtling towards the downed Vali, who barely had enough time to register what was coming her way. She quickly rolled out of the way, just barely avoiding the blast that launched debris everywhere. Vali quickly got up and prepared to counter an assault that Issei was probably going to launch. Albion, is there any way to possibly match his power? Vali asked her dragon. Vali, I told you that the dragon was extremely powerful. I wasn't kidding around. As it stands, you are outrageously outclassed. You may be able to slow him down a bit, but there's no chance of winning this battle. There's some stuff you may be able to try to even the odds a bit. You are a Lucifer. Your blood is that of someone who has the potential to be a super devil. You can claim huge amount of demonic power. It is your birthright. Other than that, divide and use Balance Breaker and any other abilities of mine to help, Albion spoke in her head. Valley cursed as she realized how powerful Issei was now. She knew it was going to be a tough fight, but she didn't think she would get her ass handed to her. With her options slowly vanishing, she quickly decided what to do. Vanishing Dragon! Balance Breaker! A bright white flash covered the whole arena as Valley donned her Balance Breaker. Issei grinned as he saw the white armor cover his rival. He started once again on his attacks. Issei vanished once more, but Vali had anticipated him using his speed again. She quickly sent an elbow behind her and successfully struck him in the gut, sending him skidding back. Then she proceeded to use one of her abilities. Divide! Issei felt a part of his energy fade away as it went to Vali. He cursed as he forgot about the dividing gear. He knew that he couldn't be hit by her or she would just half his power and make it hers. He decided it was time to take it up another notch. I'm surprised, Vali. You're able to match my speed. I really am. But I'm not done yet, Issei shouted. I expect nothing less from you, my rival, Vali replied with a smirk. Welsh Dragon, Balance Breaker. After he shouted that, the crimson energy started to form around him and formed a sphere. They couldn't see what was inside of it. Valley was shocked as she had already seen Issei's balance breaker, but this was different. It was much more powerful than the last time she saw it. Everyone realized that as well, as they wondered how much power he intended to release. Soon the energy sphere started to condense, and soon it faded away, revealing his balance breaker. But this time it was different. Not just the power, but the look of it wasn't what they seen. The crimson had suddenly been changed to a blood red. The outline was a sharp gray, with a crimson glow surrounding the armor. This was his new balance breaker. Even Issei was surprised as he looked at his balance breaker. Dreg, Bahamut, what happened to my balance breaker? Issei asked his dragons. It is something to do with Bahamut's influence, Dreg replied. This is a result of you gaining my power. It has merged with Dreg somewhat, and what was effect was your balance breaker and Juggernaut drive. Both of them were imbued with my power, effectively making them extremely powerful, Bahamut explained. I'll call it a Welsh Annihilation Dragon Balance Breaker, Issei thought. A fitting name for a powerful balance breaker, Dreg mused. Valley grinned and took up a stance. Issei was surprised she still wanted to fight, but nonetheless he motioned for her to come. She dashed once again, but stopped a few feet in front of Issei. He was surprised at her sudden stop, and he wondered what she was planning. Quickly put his guard up as he felt her energy rise. Half dimension! Issei was not expecting this at all. He quickly fell to one knee as his power was being drained. He needed to do something quick before it was too late. Boost 15. Everyone was shocked as they saw him boost once again. They knew he was slowly being stripped of his power, but they didn't think he would just give her more. But they didn't know why he boosted. Boost 15! They started to back up as they felt his energy rise even more. But Valley continued to press, but something was about to stop it. Explosion! That command sent everything into chaos, instantly shattering the half-dimension and blowing apart Valley and Issei's armor. The match was officially over, with Issei as the winner. Well, that was a good try there, Valley. You had me cornered for a good bit, Issei said. Should have expected you a win, Valley muttered. She then walked up to Issei. Issei wondered what she was planning. This is your reward for winning, she said with a smirk. Then she smashed her lips forcibly against his in a heated makeout session. Everyone smirked at seeing Valley do it. Issei was surprised at first, but nonetheless reciprocated the kiss. Valley pulled away with a smirk. Issei had a grin on his face. He then spoke up. Okay, Rainier, Kuroka, your turn. He spoke aloud. Rainier had a scowl on. It seemed she didn't still like the idea of sharing Issei, but she couldn't complain now that there were more than 5 people in the harem, and would only grow as he attracted more people to the group. She stepped up along Kuroka, who was smiling. She knew she was at a disadvantage since Rainier had the ability to use light, but that didn't stop her from trying. You ready? Kuroka grinned. Bring it, Rainier responded. Rainier responded. Kuroka quickly dashed towards Rainier with a cocked-back fist coating with Senjutsu energy. Seemed like she was going to hit her target, but as she closed in on Rainier, she was quickly blocked by cross-light daggers that Rainier had formed. Once her fists connected with the daggers, Kuroka quickly backed up after feeling the power that those light weapons had. They were able to severely damage devils. She needed to avoid being hit by those. She needed a plan. Should have expected to run into an obstacle, she muttered lowly, but it was enough for everyone to hear it. Everyone's eyes widened as her power started to rise. She was already in her Nekoshu form, which added even more power. They wondered what she was going to try. She quickly fired off several energy blasts towards Rainier, who dashed backwards and dodged a couple, but one hit her leg. Shit, Rainier muttered. She was kneeling on the ground trying to catch her breath. Rainier had had enough. She stood up and released her wings. Everyone was surprised at her wings. Instead of one pair, she had 3 pairs, totaling 6 wings on her back. Issei was proud of seeing how far she had grown. She quickly dashed forwards and formed the light daggers once again, but this time she threw them at Kuroko, who dodged them easily, but didn't see the spear coming in her way in time. It was too late once she did notice it. The only way she could do was use her senjutsu to form a protective layer to help cushion the blow a bit. The spear hit directly on the protective layer, pushing her backwards as the spear started to dissipate. She quickly dispelled the energy around her, avoiding a fairly dangerous spear aimed for her. She dashed once again, with her fist charged with energy, but stopped shortly before Rainier. Kuroka then proceeded to smash her fist on the ground, causing quite the amount of debris and dust. Rainier couldn't see, but neither could Kuroka. But she used her senjutsu to find Rainier and tackle her on the ground, holding a fist cocked back with a ton of energy. She spoke up. "Do you yield?" Kuroka spoke up. Rainier was shocked at how she was beaten. She had no choice but to comply. "Yes," she said weakly. Kuroka then stood up and helped Rainier up. Both of them walked back to the side, finishing their match and waiting on the next one. That is it. That is chapter 9. Enemies gathering and testing limits. Okay. Sorry, I was reading author notes. Chapter 10. Enemies gathering and testing limits. Part 2. It was now LeFay versus Cal Rainier. We're gonna short it to Kala. Or Cal, rather. As two of them walked up to the center, they both prepared to start. Cal knew she was a magician, but she didn't know how much power she wielded, so she did the natural and prepared herself for anything. Issei was watching intently. He knew they could handle each other pretty well, but he wanted to see them break free from the limited power and push forward like everyone else had done before them. When push come to shove is when it would really matter. He, however, knew that he would be watching them for only a little while. He started to gaining allies as fast as he could. His appearance and him almost killing Surzax and him attacking the Grigori could, be seen as an act of war. If so, he didn't mind. Let them come. He wouldn't hesitate to unleash all of his power and obliterate everyone in his path to the top. Okay, guys, I'm gonna head out to find some allies. My attack on the Grigori and the Devil's Gathering is most likely an act of war in their eyes. So we'll need all the help we can get, Issei said, standing up. So you think war is coming? Valley asked curiously. Most likely. Better safe than sorry, Issei replied. Everyone agreed and nodded their heads. They need to prepare for something like this. With Bahamut's power, it would most likely cause a flurry of panic, and they would do anything in their power to stop Issei and his new group. Who are you thinking of asking? Tiamat asked, intrigued. She wondered what was in his head. First, I'm going to Heaven. Tell them they can do what they want, either stay neutral or fight with the other factions. As for allies, I'm going to the Shinto Pantheon in Yokuai first. If they don't join, I'll go to the Greeks, Issei spoke up. The rest of his group nodded, and Issei already started off. Bahamut, how can I get to heaven? Issei asked the dragon. Normally you couldn't, but there are ways to get there. You must know the coordinates of the place and use a transport circle. I don't know who he would go for them, though, Bahamut explained. Issei thought. Issei then needed to get everyone's attention to ask a question. So he stepped out in the middle of the arena. Once everyone saw him, they started to follow him, wondering what was going on. Issei, Rainier asked, confused. That's. They were all wondering what he was going to do. Before I leave, anyone know what the coordinates of heaven are? Issei asked. Everyone was shocked. They didn't know what to say. They should have expected it, but it still came as a shock that Issei needed help getting there. He was looking purposefully at the fallen angels, that spoke up after seeing his gaze. Sorry, Issei, that was always above our pay grade. Cal spoke up. So I need someone who had more authority, Issei asked. Essentially, yes. Preferably one of that was high enough rank when they fell, Donisik added. Issei quickly cursed. He had a plan to get to heaven now. It was only a backup plan until there was no other choice. If it worked out right, he would both get to heaven and get a powerful ally. Okay, I'll be heading out now, Issei spoke up. Everyone nodded and watched as he vanished. They had no idea what he was planning in the aftermath of it all. He reappeared back in the underworld, and he started to walk further and go deeper. He was heading towards his destination. Cocytus, the prison that held his target. Kokobeel. Issei knew this was a risky game he was playing, but if it played off, Kokobeel helped him out. Issei returned the favor and released him. He also knew Kokobeel wasn't one to miss out on an opportunity to get revenge on the devils that helped imprison him. But he was stopped short as he felt an enormous pressure cover the area he was in. He heard a deep bellow of rage directed towards him. Issei Hyodo, how dare you come back to my domain? You will not escape once again. This place will be your grave. It was a male voice. Issei turned around to see someone he should have expected. Hades, the god of the dead, was here, and obviously he wasn't friendly. Looks like someone woke up on the wrong side of the bed this morning, Dreg muttered, and Issei said. Issei stifled a chuckle and focused back on the wrathful god in front of him. Hades, I have no quarrel with you. Sure, I did break free from your realm, but I don't care. So either get out of my way or perish. He spoke up loudly. Hades didn't back down. Instead, he charged with his pitchfork. Issei quickly dodged it. He wasn't stupid. Issei was on top 5, if not three most powerful gods out there. He knew he had his work cut out from him. As the pitchfork landed on the ground, Issei watched as several skeleton warriors climbed out from the point of impact. Issei wasn't going to hold back anything this time. He couldn't afford to. Annihilation Welsh Dragon Balance Breaker. That's a fucking mouthful. Hades wasn't expecting this, but he gave in and powered up to meet the new dragon god in battle. Issei watched as all the darkness started to get absorbed by Hades. He looked towards the god of the dead to see him in his new state. His eyes were pitch black and his robe had darkness rolling off of it. Issei could hear the cries of souls literally screaming for help. Very well, Hyodo. If it is a battle you desire, a battle you will get, Hades shouted with a powerful voice. Boost 15. Issei boosted in response and charged up with blinding speed towards the god. Hades quickly vanished in a burst of speed and kicked Issei in the back, knocking him out of the air and plummeting towards the ground. Hades was waiting for him to return with a counterattack. He knew the boy wasn't done yet. He had no idea what was about to unfold from his battle with the boy. He didn't know he would forcibly unleash, and it would take a miracle for Hades to beat it. Boost 30. Issei kicked it up a notch and stood up from the crater he made from the fall. Hades watched as he rose into the air. He could tell something was different about the boy. It looked like Issei was in a trance of sorts, completely silent, and that was eerie to Hades. He wondered what had caused the boy to be like this. He was also wondering what had going on in the boy's mind. As Issei met Hades, the air didn't move, but he suddenly held his hand out and started to summon a sphere of annihilation. Hades started to sweat seeing the power the boy was suddenly releasing. It was truly terrifying. Even with Bahamut, his power could have been handled with the teamwork of some of the strongest gods, but with the boosted gear, it made it impossible to beat him. He could boost his power even higher and climb to new heights and wouldn't stop either. Hades quickly dodged the sphere as it was thrown at him super fast, but it was too late for him to dodge a kick that was aimed right at his gut. Looking up at his eyes of the boy, all he could see behind the armor was blood-red eyes burning with determination. Hades didn't know what caused the change in the boy, but he knew he would have left as soon as he could. It was the fact when Issei was first knocked to the ground, he had a revelation. This was one of the most powerful gods, and if he failed here, it would mean the death of everyone else that had joined up with him. He could not allow that to happen. Not couldn't. He wouldn't. So he threw away all the rules and his limits and decided to break free from his shell. That was just the start, too. Hades was about to do the rest. He was about to unleash a power deep in the boy that its nature was very unbridled. Hades quickly backed away and covered his pitchfork in the dark energy that was around his body. Then he spoke in a powerful voice. "Rise forth, my minions, and serve your eternal master," Hades chanted. That's when the ground started to shake and tremble at his calls. Rising from the ground was hundreds of skeletal and dead warriors, and a few Cerberuses. They all looked ready to tear Issei apart at Hades' word. Issei was unfazed, though. He quickly summoned a ball of energy and punched it towards Hades. Dragon shot. Hades didn't notice until it was too late. He was hit with it and sent flying. Issei then turned his attention to the army that was summoned. Descending on the ground, he had prepared for an onslaught of attacks from the monster's undead. Boost 50! That boost, any undead in the near vicinity was instantly disintegrated. Issei was vicious as he tore through the entire army, slashing with powerful claw strikes with the boosted gear's gauntlet. But more enemies kept coming and coming, and Issei was running low on steam. Explosion! He called out, giving him a little breathing room, but it didn't last for long. Sadly, something was about to happen. He didn't notice Hades returning to the battle, and it was too late to feel the extreme presence of the energy rising above him. He turned around only too late to get pierced by Hades' pitchfork. Coughing up blood, Issei was kneeling on the ground. Hades descended and spoke up. "It was fun playing with you while it lasted, Hyodo, but this is the end." Hades spoke up. Issei was about to protest or try to do something, but he knew he was running on empty. That's when Hades made the mistake of speaking again. The next sentence would seal his fate. "Oh, just so you know, all of those people you would gather are going to die once I leave here. To tell the 3 factions you have been disposed of, I will personally drag those 3 fallen angels back to the realm of the dead." Hades spoke foolishly. Issei felt something boil deep inside of him, like a supernova of anger was rising deep in his heart, and it couldn't be vanquished by anyone or anything. Hades heard him murmur something, but didn't catch it. So he asked him, "What did you say?" he asked cockily. "I'll kill you!" Issei shouted in a fury. That's when it started. Issei felt his blood boil at the thought of everything he had worked for going to waste. He wasn't gonna die here. No, he wouldn't. That's when Hades noticed the blood-red glow surrounding Issei. Soon it erupted into a frenzy of power. Every undead minion and soldier were instantly vaporized by the power he was releasing. It just kept rising too, coming off in bursts. With every step Issei took, the whole ground shook violently. Hades had unleashed a new ability in the boy that he wasn't supposed to be used to yet, due to the fact it was extremely unstable. This was Armageddon's call. Hades quickly backed up at seeing the massive amount of destruction he had released upon the area. It was clear he was going to die here today. He tried to flee, but he was met face to face with a bloodthirsty Issei. Hades was quickly punched in the gut, making his back arch up. Issei then proceeded to follow with a powerful axe kick that sent the god of the dead hurtling towards the ground. Issei descended on the ground towards the fallen god. Hades looked up at the boy as his balance breaker fell off, but he was still giving off the immense amount of power. He knew this was the end. Why? Hades asked weakly as he stared at the executioner. Why? You asked me that when you should have already known. You dare threaten my friends and family and not expect me to keep my promise of killing you? That's the problem with you gods and supernaturals. You think the whole universe revolves around you. Well, guess what? It doesn't. And it is time for a change. Many more will fall before me. It is the beginning of a new era, he shouted. Hades only closed his eyes and accepted the fate. It was the only thing he could do, and he agreed partly with the boy. Change was coming, and it was coming faster than anyone could see it. With one powerful strike, the head of Hades rolled onto the floor, decapitated from its body. The god of the dead was no more. Issei proceeded to continue deeper towards his original destination, finally reaching the prison of Cocytus. He blasted the doors apart with a sphere of annihilation, stepped through, and began once again. He quickly killed any guards that got in his way and made his way towards the cell that held his target. Finding the steel door, he quickly blasted it apart, revealing a shocked but amused Kokobile. Issei Hyodo, or should I say, Tsukakiri Yute, he spoke with a chuckle. That is it. Chapter 10. Enemies gathering in tested limits. That is it for this episode. I hope you did enjoy. Please give me some feedback on the voice I did for Issei. The kind of, you know what, Hades? No, you know what, Hades? It's time for you to die. Kind of like that. I don't know about it. Tell me in the comments. But if you did enjoy, like, subscribe, and hit that bell notification so you know every time I post a new voiceover video. Also, check out Matsukage for my gaming content. Not a lot there, but more to come in the future. And I hope you did enjoy. But this is Kaiga voiceover. I hope you have a great day. Goodbye.